You've got a fiend in me. You've got a fiend in me. Da-da-da-da. Da-da. And the Fiend invades WWE Raw. I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke Owen. Welcome to the WrestleRamble review edition of Monday Night Raw. Please press the thumbs up button. Give us a subscribe because the whole of the wrestling world is changing and WrestleTalk is leveling up with it. We are going to have so much more content as of next week because we will have reviews of AEW, NXT. When SmackDown moves to Friday nights on Fox, we've got a Saturday team coming in and they're going to be reviewing that too. And we're going to have loads more extra stuff going on alongside all of that. So please press the subscribe button. It helps out the channel. It helps us grow. And you're not going to want to miss all the videos that come out from it. So hit the notifications button to always. If you don't get notifications, that might be why. You've got to click always so you get notified about everything. And of course, get in your super chats because today we are joined once again by WrestleTalk.com's Randy Andy Datsum.
Hello.
He's back.
He's back, folks.
That's the opening thing you went with.
I'm not very charismatic.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So moving on.
At least you've come to terms with it.
And at least he didn't roll any R's.
Well, give him time.
In Hello, there were no R's to roll. So, The Fiend really was, yet again, the most dominating thing in the background of all of the episode.
Quite rightly so.
Started off, technically, the show, ended the show, just like last week, ended the show. So last week's episode ended with that Firefly Funhouse loop playing after The Fiend jumped Kane. And this week's episode, after some people were saying, oh, it seemed like a production error. Oh, why were the graphics upside down there? This guy's prediction was right. The Fiend is slowly taking over the production truck because the then now. Look, there's Stephanie McMahon.
The leader of the Women's Revolution.
The opening sting kept distorting and twisting and slowing down. You can see a little bit of the W there in a screenshot when it kind of went a bit more scratchy. It was excellent.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Really, really cool opening to the show.
Just set you up for the show, really.
Yeah, and it really starts to drop in these bits of The Fiend slowly taking over Monday Night Raw and that side of WWE. And then at the end of the night, we also got Bray as The Fiend coming in at the last moment of Seth versus Braun, which was set up at the start of the show. Braun seemingly had it won. He had Seth up on his shoulder to hit a power slam, but then chug-chung, lights go out, and the lights come back up. Bray's fingering Braun's mouth.
Oh, yeah.
He's got it right in there, and he's fingering him hard, and Braun's like, no. And it was so effective because Braun never really sells stuff.
Unless he's running into posts.
Well, yeah. Yeah, the posts are the kryptonite of the big man.
Yeah.
But what I really loved about this is The Fiend looks so awesome because he went over Braun so strongly here, but then also because Braun then got back up. Like that first mandible claw didn't put Braun down completely. Braun got back up, and Bray kind of positioned himself between Seth and Strowman. And I took that to mean, and I think I'm correct here going by what happened in Firefly Funhouse, Seth is mine.
And this is what I was saying last week. This is why I wasn't the biggest fan of the Kane thing. I felt he should be going after the people that are attacking Seth because he wants Seth to himself. And so I thought it was weird that they didn't do it last week. And then when they did Firefly Funhouse, it was like, no, Seth is mine. Seth is all mine. I want him to myself. So I loved the angle they did with Braun where he, as you said, got in between the two of them being like, no, you're not going to hurt him because I want him.
Yeah.
And next week, you'd imagine he's going to do the same thing to Rey Mysterio in their match because he's like, no, I don't want you to win the title. I want to win the title.
Well, I don't. What I love about this so much is I don't think it's about the championship.
It's not about the championship. It's like, you're not beating him. That's me. I'm going to do that.
I can't believe I'm saying this as well. I'm sure people can go back in archives and say, well, you said it should always be about the title here, and here. The Fiend is something quite special, I would argue, and he has the ability within his character to to not really care about the title, but that doesn't make the title feel any less more important.
No. There was a real fun, because you talk about how like Firefly Funhouse and The Fiend and Bray was kind of all over this show, right at the start, in the middle, and at the end. So much so was the Firefly Funhouse one of the most pushed things on this show. There was a graphic that came up in the show said, Firefly Funhouse coming up next. And what actually happened next was Lacey Evans versus Ember Moon. But Michael Cole was like, don't worry, folks, Firefly Funhouse is coming as soon as this match ends. With a go, please don't change the channel, please don't change the channel. I promise you the good thing is coming.
We've got a quota to fill with women's matches. Don't worry, we get through it. It was actually quite a good match.
It's really
Ember
good.
Moon was excellent.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that Firefly Funhouse segment. It opens with Bray on the wall of friendship, and he's put up Kane, like a picture of Kane from last week. You might think, how can they make it possibly more creepy? Because all of those people had their eyes crossed out. Well, by drawing fangs on Kane and the Illuminati eye pyramid on Kane's forehead. There's just too much occult symbolism now to mean that Triple H isn't also involved in this.
But I love it as well because he's hanging up an empty frame. Because he's like, the wall of friendship's very full. But there's always room for one more.
And he does like a big smile and a laugh.
Yeah.
But then he turns round and there's Huskus the Pig Boy and Rambling Rabbit the Puppets fighting over a Seth Rollins action figure.
Yeah, where's our Seth Rollins action figure?
Oh, we could have used him.
You've filled some, I'll try and find him.
And both Rambling Rabbit and Huskus say to Bray, well, we love Seth now because this is the good side of the Fiend. They're all like, hey, we're all friends. We can't wait for Rollins to join us here and we can play with him forever. That's so creepy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't find the figure.
And then Bray essentially tells the Judgment of Solomon, which is the old Bible parable of, or fable, parable? It's a parable if it's in the Bible, isn't it? And that's where an old king, well, Solomon, said to these two women who both claim to be the mother of a baby, well, okay, we'll cut the baby in half and you each get a bit. And one of the women goes, yes, half a baby. That's what I wanted. When the other one's like, oh my God, no, I love my baby. If that's the way, you just take the whole baby. And then King Solomon goes, you're the real mother then because you don't want to cut your baby in half and divide it amongst yourselves. So that's essentially what Seth does here with, you're meant to share. Like, it's not, and he's talking to the puppets about working together and stuff. But he goes, I've got an idea. Just snap Seth Rollins in half anyway and gives them both a piece to share.
I also liked as well, he was talking about how you should never become too attached to anything. Talking about Seth Rollins, because we're big fans of him, we want to be friends. Like, you should never get too attached to it. You become vulnerable. Neglect, disappointment, loneliness. I know what it's like to be abandoned. Oh, this is quite chilling.
Yeah, I know what it's like to be abandoned by those who love you the most.
Yeah.
And, for me, that ties in directly to him attacking Braun. Braun Strowman, even though WWE don't really make a thing of it at all, was part of the Wyatt family. And it's like, there's so many layers to this. And that's because Bray has weaved such a rich tapestry behind his character.
Completely.
Yeah, I love it. And then at the end, he's just like, see ya in hell, after sort of a very aggressive stare down the camera.
It's great. I thought this was another excellent edition of Firefly Funhouse, and it's because I love the world. I love the world he's created. The more the world has gone on, the more we've learned things about these characters and really who these characters are. They're actually just fragments of his personality that have manifested themselves into these weird puppets. So it's interesting to watch Bray interact with these other parts of his personality and then just be very super creepy when saying like this awesome verbiage. Because Bray's always been a great promo. That's one of his biggest strengths. He's a great wrestler, but man, he was such a good promo. Problem was, he was given nonsense promos when he was with the Wyatt family and on his own that they'd lost all meaning. They were just words. But here, all of the words do actually mean something, and they're all building towards something.
Interestingly, one of the bits I liked the most about this was the absence of words. Last week, when The Fiend appeared, Michael Cole immediately was like, oh my God, it's The Fiend!
The Fiend is on Raw!
The Fiend is going to attack Kane! Ooh, look at him, he's so scary and intimidating. But this week, as soon as The Fiend appeared, it was as if someone told Michael Cole, okay, now shut that. Right,
Yeah, you
okay?
do not say anything.
Don't say anything.
I
And he
want to
wasn't
hear
the-
Seth scream.
There was no commentary for that whole last bit where The Fiend was attacking them. I just thought that it worked so much better. I was of the opinion that they shouldn't have any commentary at all for the Finn Balor match at SummerSlam. The Fiend is so good, the commentary takes away from it. Unless you've got an amazing commentary team, which WWE either don't have or don't allow their commentators to be.
Well, we might end up not having Cole doing Bray commentary anymore, I suppose, if he's going to move over to SmackDown, and Bray very much feels like a Raw character at the moment, or whether that changes in the draft. Fox, or WWE on Fox, the Twitter account, was promoting The Fiend, which has led a lot of people to think that he might also end over on SmackDown, but you've got to reach a certain point when you're like, WWE, you can't put all of your stars onto that one show, because then what happens to Raw? I mean, granted, that's what they used to do for Raw back in the day.
Yeah, and also you might sit back and go, look, WWE, you can't have Raw win every Survivor Series match.
Oh, yeah.
So
Quite.
the other thing that people have brought up here, and we probably should address it because we were so positive and high on Seth Rollins' performance last week, where he was kind of like shivering, not looking at Bray. He was petrified and paralyzed in fear. I thought it worked last week. This week, it didn't work as well. I'm not going to say it was bad.
Because he was screaming.
Yeah.
And it was like...
It was like a...
And that's hard to act. And I think that's where it falls down, because when he was screaming, I didn't think, oh, you're scared. I thought, you're acting. And it's a very difficult thing to do, to act like you're genuinely scared of something. Like when you've ever had a nightmare that was so scary that you've actually sort of woken yourself up by screaming, or like, I mean, it happens to me quite a bit. Like I sort of jolt out of bed and be like, ah, and then sort of and scream. If you asked me to act that out, I'd really struggle to do that. And that's where I think this fell down. Seth is not an actor. He's a wrestler. And you've asked him to act like he's seeing the most scary thing in the world. So he just goes, well, I'll scream. I was going, John.
It's because Bray. It's a ridiculous scenario. Let's be honest. I love The Fiend. It's ridiculous though. And I actually did something I don't usually do. I went onto Twitter afterwards, and I was curious about people I don't follow, their reaction. And a lot of the reaction was, wow, if you don't like The Fiend, like I don't, this Raw sucked. So, like, it definitely is a Marmite character. If you're not into The Fiend, you're probably going to hate all the stuff involving him. Like, I love The Undertaker, but as soon as he goes properly supernatural and those lightning bolts hitting the ring, I'm out, and I hate it. But, yeah, it's just... It is ridiculous, but Bray is performing it so well, and he's in that world that I believe in him, like the verisimilitude of it all. So when you've got someone who's not performing at that level, like Seth's reaction here, it really punctures the whole believability of it.
To your point, actually, when you're talking about people not like a bit of a Marmite character, I can really see both sides of this, because I have this with Deadpool. I'm not a Deadpool fan, but I understand there are people who absolutely love him. And like you were just saying then, when I look at Deadpool, I'm like, okay, well, I can see how dedicated Ryan Reynolds is to that character. I can see how that world works. And actually, it's really, really good. It's just, it doesn't work for me, and I don't like that character. I find him obnoxious and annoying. So when people are watching this Raw and being like, I don't like The Fiend, so this episode sucks, I'm like, yeah, I totally get that, because there have been times when Deadpool has shown up in comics, and I'm like, oh, I'm totally out of this comic now, because I don't want him there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's that kind of character that The Fiend is dialed up to 11. So if you don't like it, you're going to be massively put off by it.
It's not like King Corbin.
Yeah. So let's see what you guys think of The Fiend by going over to the Super Chats with Randy Andy Datson.
Yes, well, thank you very much for everyone welcoming me back, and people suggesting I am the Brock Lesnar of WrestleTalk, who rarely shows up, and someone saying I have a shaving cream advert voice. So that was very nice.
I also think that's very unfair to say that you never show up because you work so hard on the website.
Yeah, I am here. I'm pretty much, if you look at the camera, if you could sort of X-ray through that wall, you'd probably see me sitting at my desk.
Oh, yeah, forever working.
Yeah.
Well, whenever anybody takes a day off, they could be gone for 6 hours, and usually the audience goes, well, Brock Lesnar over here.
But anyway, we will start off with Jobber JJ, who says, have you listened to Meltzer and Alvarez talking about the main event / The Fiend? If so, what are your thoughts? House show matches they are doing, DQ finishes.
So we've got more on this in Luke's news episode later today. Some stuff went down after Raw. I think it's totally fine because it's a dark match. It's not really meant for main continuity.
It's non-canon.
And it seems like it was a mistake. So they had the right idea, but... Yeah.
I just think, it's non-canon. In the same way house shows are effectively non-canon. No one on this show was talking about how EC3 won the 24/7 title 3 times on the house show loops last week. It's because it's non-canon and it doesn't count.
Yeah. Mrs. S says, do you think Rey is winning to take the title away from The Fiend?
Oh.
No, I think it's just more of the Rey redemption storyline.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw Rey was in that match, because funny enough, me and Andy were talking about this yesterday, just before I left the office. I said, what's your prediction for the Fatal 5-Way? And me and Andy were trying to work out who the 5 people were. We could only remember 4 of them, and the one we forgot was Rey. But really, if we'd remembered Rey, I'd have been like, oh yeah, well, Rey's winning then, because he's got the redemption storyline.
And he is another legend that the Fiend can attack. As soon as Rey won, I was like, it's because he's a legend that the Fiend can destroy next week.
Tyler Hayes says, before Seth's match with Braun, he said that win or lose against Rey next week, he isn't looking forward to facing the Fiend in Hell in a Cell. Do you think WWE is trying to book themselves out of a corner to avoid Fiend versus Brock?
No, I think it's the other way. They're trying to book themselves to get a rating this week with the 5-way number 1 contenders match and get something for next week for their season premiere. Season premiere was heavily used on this episode.
Yeah, someone counted. It was 26 times.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh my God, season premiere. And
oh, sorry, I thought I was getting switched to there.
I think so it was more of a way to get a rating like that, and it won't affect anything for Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
And they got a new logo. Did you see the new logo?
Did indeed, yeah.
Raw did.
Yeah. It's next week. They debut the new graphic on the
has
show.
it's basically Raw with an arrow underneath it.
Yeah.
Nice.
If you go on WrestleTalk.com, you'll be able to find it. Sparks says, I really want to see Fiend take out both Lesnar and Heyman next week. I just hope this isn't leading to Hell in a Cell interference from everyone he has put down.
Ooh, yeah. Because it's the idea of doing the DQ finish. It's very difficult to do because they are in Hell in a Cell. But having said that, last year's ended in a no contest, so it's always possible, I guess. But people, I just find that every time we try to think of an alternative to Bray winning, it's just a worse idea than the one we had previously.
Yeah, there is only one way. There is only one right way here.
Yeah.
I like the new Raw logo.
It's cool, isn't it? Yeah.
Curved.
I like the way that the graphics are displayed and the way they've got like really cool transitions for them. I think it's nice.
Henry Casares says, already got my tickets. Your boy will be at Raw next week.
So, for the season premiere. Season premiere. I wonder if they're going to boo Hogan as well.
Ed Fry says, a year ago, you would have laughed if told Bray would be the most over thing in WWE, but not anymore.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this time he was sort of gone for 3 months after a very short-lived and never that over Deleters of World's Tag Team.
And before that, he had that 1 month WWE Championship run and the fart of a feud with Randy Orton.
What?
It started out as a really
Come
strong...
on, man.
It started off as a really good fart.
That was
And
an
then-
excellent 6-month storyline with 6 weeks of crap at the end.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it started off as a really good... But then, like, all of a sudden there was a really nasty smell at the end of it. You're like, actually, I don't think I like that fart at all.
King Rasta says, besides The Fiend, whose entrance music do you guys like? Personally, I love Andrade's, Edge, and CM Punk's old WWE theme.
As of this week, Baron Corbin.
It's not good, is it?
But that's the point, isn't it? Well, come on to King Corbin's tune
Corbin's
in a
tunes.
bit.
Asuka's themes as a belter.
Oh, Glorious. Glorious is a song that I can play with other non-wrestling friends, and they can sing along too.
The only 2 wrestling themes I've ever had on my playlist are the original Shinsuke Nakamura and Bailey's theme tune, which I'm slightly embarrassed by.
It's a great track. Yeah, really good track.
And the last one for now is Wilson Simon, who says, how much of the Fiend versus Seth is Bray, and how much of it is Vince or Heyman?
Huh.
I suppose that'd be interesting. Could whoever was the agent for the house show matches.
Oh, you mean in terms of what's in the actual ring?
Oh, right,
I thought
yeah.
you meant the feud overall.
Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood the question. Yeah, the feud overall.
I think all of the segments and promos from Bray are coming from Bray, but I would say the overall direction is coming from Vince, I reckon, with Heyman flourishes.
I wonder if it's a combination of all three. It's Bray pitching ideas, like in terms of how the Fiend is presented, I'm talking about. So the lights going ka-chung, ka-chung, ka-chung. And it's Vince then going like, okay, pal, how about this? And then Heyman being like, well, how about this? And we just sort of like, they all come together as one. They form like Voltron.
But not Seth.
Probably not. No.
Well, let's get started
Just
with
does what he's
the
told.
full Raw review. We've already talked about the opening Sting graphic being distorted by the Fiend. And then we got, what else? A Seth Rollins babyface promo recapping what I did recently.
Yeah. But at least he was selling how scared he is of the Fiends.
Yeah,
He
that's
wasn't
good.
being his usual like beast slayer on the ramp and stuff. He was kind of selling it, and then he got to the ring, and yeah, it calls him. Does the recap. Said, I've been here a lot over the last 7 years, but I've seen nothing like I saw last week. And here's what happened.
I just phase out. Like, as soon as he if I see Seth Rollins come down at the start of Raw, I'm like, okay, so main event's going to be set up now. And he's going to talk about what happened last week in a way that no human being talks like.
Yeah, because then Braun comes out, and he says, if Seth has something to say about him, say it to my face. I'm like, what's he talking about, Braun?
Yeah, did Seth miss a line? And then they referenced something that must have happened last week.
It was Seth's promo last week where
Yeah.
he said, I hope I don't have to face Braun again.
Yeah, and Braun's like, oh, so you mean you're stopping me from getting a title shot? And Seth's like, no, man, I was putting you over. You were really good.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But they're going to have a match tonight.
Yeah, effectively. So that they did kind of bring in a bit of the Raw Tag Team Championship stuff. Like Seth was like, are you annoyed that we were the Raw Tag Team Champions and now we're not? And Braun's like, I forgot about that, actually.
Actually, I beat up all the tag team division last week.
So what a really productive use of the tag division that was.
I was so high on that angle at the start as well.
Well, because it had so much potential and promise that they didn't use. And one of the main victims of that was in the next match, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, who really should still be the tag team champions.
Well, you got to put over Rude and Ziggler.
Yeah. Well, I do like how much of a push Robert Roode is getting.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like they are trying to make him something at the moment.
But that tag champ now feels like an anchor.
Yes.
Dragging him backwards.
But the OC, with the Carl Anderson version of the OC, took on the Viking Raiders next in what was a really good tag match and probably the best use of the Viking Raiders since they've been called up.
I've written here, best Viking Raiders match since coming to the main roster.
Yeah.
Easily the best match they've had. Also, we got a new music for Carl Anderson.
The OC version.
It's woefully generic.
Yeah, since CFO Money left WWE's production,
I believe it's just CFOs.
CFOs.
Someone corrected us in the comments, I believe, on a previous video where we called them CFO Money. But I think it's just CFOs, but they instead of an S, they use the dollar sign.
I'm just going to say CFO dollar sign then.
Yeah.
That's okay,
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
fine, yeah.
Kafers.
Yeah.
Kafers. Since they left the music production department, which is public, they've talked about it themselves, all the new themes since have been really bad.
I don't think they've brought anyone new in to do themes. They've just found they just Googled royalty-free music on YouTube and just taken anything. It's like an indie promotion at this point.
But this was a really good match in terms of the Viking Raiders connecting with the crowd. They've had so many squash matches, which in theory on paper should do exactly that. It's working with heavy machinery because both of those teams have got such good move sets and such impressive sort of physicality to them.
Yeah.
That makes the crowd excited to see those spots. With heavy machinery, it's worked. With Viking Raiders, it just hasn't. And WWE kept doing it even though it wasn't connecting properly. And they've been putting a six-man tag here and there, but this was the first time where I was like, damn.
I thought it was so good.
Yeah, they were
the
excellent.
hot tags were really good. The use of the Viking experience finisher was really good because because Hansen did the Viking experience and then Rowe did the big dive.
Oh, it was so cool.
So it was a really, really cool finishing sequence. Thought Galanderson didn't really lose anything from the match because it was like a big bruising fight and they got a couple of near falls themselves. Thought both teams looked really, really great coming out of it.
They didn't lose anything in this match.
No, but they've lost everything previously.
Yeah, so it's just another loss for Galanderson. You shouldn't have re-signed, folks.
Well, it's what you get for being henchman.
But AJ Styles was out there initially, and the referee threw him out up because he was interfering, and he walks out. And who should jump him but Cedric Alexander?
What a dick. He had no reason to attack that man. It's like, mate, you keep losing. And it's your fault you keep losing. It's not AJ's not cheating. You just keep losing.
To be fair, AJ did beat him up after the match last week, but it didn't feel. Like all of Cedric's momentum has been taken out, and they're like, no, he's still good. It was lip service.
Yeah, and
it didn't follow up. Like there was no follow up the rest of the night.
No. Well, AJ mentioned it in a promo, but he did say Cedric's rubbish.
Yeah,
I've got bigger fish to fry later on tonight.
I don't know what he did wrong backstage. Maybe he sneezed. Poor guy had the flu. What if came into work?
He sneezed on a bad sandwich.
So then we got Robert Roode and Charlie Caruso backstage, and Roode points out he's already beaten Seth Rollins in the tag match for the tag titles. It really feels like Roode's getting a bit of a showcase, or it could be a 3-week push.
Well, apparently he's a Heyman guy. And
Good.
Heyman, Meltzer reported this weeks and weeks ago that Heyman really likes him.
They also said the same thing in The Observer about Cedric Alexander.
Well, hopefully he's a Vince guy as well then.
It looks like Triple H. You'd think he would be. Then we got Becky Lynch, and this was a very Paul Heyman move. A backstage pre-taped sit-down interview between...
No, it wasn't pre-taped, it was live.
It was live,
Michael Cole said, I'm going backstage now to speak with Becky Lynch, and then during the Rusev EC3 match, Cole wasn't on commentary.
Oh, well, there you go. I just assumed it was pre-taped. But this was very good. Becky's an excellent promo.
Oh, yeah, so good.
And the Becky Sasha stuff hasn't been... It's been good, but I wouldn't say it's a must-see feud. It's nowhere near the level it could be, considering Sasha's heel turn, the history they have together. But Becky did the best thing in a wrestling promo, and that's make me want to see her beat the heel.
Michael Cole did have a incredibly stupid question, though, where he said, are you worried about your match at Hell in a Cell with Bayley getting involved? I was like, what, in a Hell in a Cell match? What are you talking about, Cole?
And if that could either be a really stupid question or a very observant question, because everyone gets involved in Hell in a Cell matches. In theory, they don't.
I was going to say, you've got to put over the stipulation, surely, that it's supposed to keep people out, but people keep getting in. But you don't highlight the fact that it's actually completely ineffectual. Because otherwise, you may as well say that about every cage match. You'd be like, what if the person just climbs over the top?
Well, but now you've said that. That makes me... I was going to say Becky had a really good line, but now you've said that. It's totally ridiculous because Becky says, look, the point isn't keeping Bayley out. It's keeping Sasha in.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that's badass. You don't care if loads of people try and beat you up. You're going to take them all on, but you want to beat up Banks the most. But by that logic, if Bayley has gotten in, Sasha can run out.
Yeah. Remember that one year?
Oh, well.
That one year where I think it was The Undertaker came, ripped up through the mat during the Elimination Chamber. No one talks about the Elimination Chamber being like, oh, what if someone rips up through the mats? No, because
they should do.
The idea is you're all locked inside.
Yeah. After that, we got Rusev versus EC3.
No Maria with Rusev.
No. What did Ollie say last week?
It's not a management thing.
It's not. It's going to be... It was just a way to get Rusev returning. I don't know why they did it, because it completely flattened out the surprise of his return, because everyone was just asking, wait, so what about Lana?
Is he the dad?
But where's he been? I mean, what a moustache. Still in great shape. He has a match with EC3. EC3 posted something on Twitter that was effectively, dude, I just got back from Asia. I literally just got off the plane. And he just walked straight into this squash match. Yeah, Rusev just squashed him.
Yeah. The crowd were chanting for Lana because his return has been very effective.
Yeah, this was no good, considering where Rusev could be.
And yeah, because a few people came under, we came under fire a little bit saying like, oh, you can't say that they botched his return. They haven't done anything yet. It was like, well, that's kind of the point is they haven't done anything yet. Like if they'd have brought Sasha Banks back and just had her do squash matches for a few weeks, we'd have gone like, it's not the most effective way to bring someone back and like really put them over. And it's the same with Rusev. He's been gone for months and months and months. Don't just bring him back and have him do squash matches because that's not what we need to see him do right now.
Also, when we say they botched his return, I'm not saying the return is like this indefinite amount of time of storyline progression. The return angle, the very segment where Rusev wasn't with the company for a while and then he walked through the Titantron doors, curtain, that was the return. That was definitely botched. Then we got Rey Mysterio telling... No, he was just talking straight to the camera.
Yeah, it was straight to camera.
It was pretty cool. And he said, I'm going to dedicate the 5-way win to you, Dominic.
Yeah, because it's crazy. Just a few weeks ago, I nearly retired, but it was a moment of weakness, and I'm here because of my son, Dominic. So I'm dedicating this match to you, my son, Dominic, which I'm pretty sure is his name.
Season premiere Raw.
Which we've been saying it wrong. It's Myson. It's his first name is Myson. So his name is Myson Dominic.
Myson Dominic. That's a sort of late 2000s developmental name.
That's original NXT.
It's a Michael McGillicuddy, that is. I'm actually really surprised by how restrained they're being over this. Because at the start of the year, Dominic was awkwardly everywhere, then he just disappeared. What they're doing now is, I hope, if this is a storyline that pays off around Mania time, they are doing some excellent drip feeding of Dominic into the sort of Raw world where here he is one week, you don't see him for another few, but he's mentioned by Rey. It's built up as an idea that's important to Rey, so when that eventual Dominic heel turn happens, it's going to mean a lot.
I can't wait for Myson Dominic to tie him.
And then we got Sasha Banks versus Nikki Cross for the first time ever.
This match got a lot of time as well.
But never fully connected with the crowd. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, crowd were very quiet for a lot of this.
But they did go through like 2 commercial breaks, I think. It's a shame. Like out of the 2, I would have had Ember Moon and Lacey Evans go long.
Yeah, totally.
Because I'm really into Lacey Evans at the moment, and I love Ember's style of wrestling. This match, I get that you're trying to do something with the women's tag champions, but Sasha's the one with the Hell in a Cell match coming up. She should beat her quicker. Like at the end of this match, I just felt like Bayley looked weak because, again, she was just laying out by Alexa Bliss at ringside very easily. And even though Sasha beat Cross and then beat up Bliss afterwards, I'm like, but it took you quite a long time to beat her as well. So yeah, the idea behind every weekly segment or match is to make the wrestlers look better than they did before, or at least more over in their particular capacity. And this didn't really build any storylines. I'm
going to disagree with you ever so slightly because I thought the commentary were doing such a hard sell of how resilient Nikki Cross is, and the problem with that is they were also doing that with Chad Gable and Rey Mysterio on the same night. So you can't keep telling them, like, look how much of an underdog they are. She's an underdog. They're an underdog. He's an underdog. Because that's the way WWE feels at the moment. There's underdogs and there's overdogs. And
the big dogs.
And the big dogs are above them.
Oh, he's the chief dog.
And so Nikki was once again the underdog of this match. So I thought that they were doing quite a lot to try and make her feel like she was on Sasha Banks' level, which is good because that kind of puts over the women's tag team titles. It also means that Banks and Bayley are also feuding with the women's tag champs as well as with the Raw Women's Champion, and Bayley's the SmackDown Women's Champion. So there's some crossover storyline stuff going. So I'm not overly against this. I actually liked quite a lot of this. I wasn't massively into the match, but I thought that the point and results kind of furthered a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot. Some.
And Raw does have a lot of women's division storylines going on right now, which is nice to see. It's not just the title one and something for Lacey Evans to do. It's like, it feels like there are about 4 concurrent things going on Raw alone.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said, but I also just think Sasha and Bayley are a money act, and they have just not been booked strong.
Oh, no.
So, which is
I thought Banks was booked quite strong by the end of this match there. Bayley, on the other hand, though, she's been booked into oblivion at the moment.
So then we got the OC, AJ Styles, being brilliantly cocky backstage with the club. and talking about the 5-way elimination match later on. They did a nice job building this up. Every participant got a little backstage bit before the match. Then the Street Profits.
Well, before that, WWE,
was there something else?
They were bragging about their social media followers because that is the most important metric in the world.
Look at all these other things that we're better than.
Yep, that's exactly it. And they announced that Brock Lesnar is going to be on Raw next week for the season premiere.
Yeah. Which will likely be to set up it's like a go-home angle with Kofi for that Friday's Fox premiere, season premiere of SmackDown.
Absolutely.
How long's this season going to last for?
Until they get new branding again.
Until we're the authority? Who's the authority?
That came like the mid-season point, I think. That's becoming the authority, yeah.
So is a season a year long? Because they told me it's an unbroken form of weekly TV.
No, this season has been running as long as we had the new Papa Roach theme. I think that's been this season.
Okay. They did definitely say season before, didn't they? But it is total branding.
It's only whenever it's the first episode of the season premiere, which is basically when there's like, here's our next reset button.
To be fair, comics do that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
We've run out of ideas. Should we just call them all number one again? Yeah, let's do that.
We've just released Spider-Man number one. Again.
Yeah, it happens every couple of years.
Sliding timelines. It's absolutely fine. He's still a teenager. It's absolutely fine. Homer Simpson graduated from high school in 2000. It's fine.
Yeah. So the Street Profits, they're running down the card, doing their usual Street Profits fun. And then The Miz walks in and says, hey, guys, got a baby daughter again, which is a nice thing to say. And more importantly, next week's SmackDown for the season premiere
Next
on
week's
Fox.
Raw.
I thought it was SmackDown.
No, it's on Raw.
Oh, balls. Well, that might be wrong in my review. We'll have a very special edition of Miz TV with Ric Flair. Everyone cheered.
Hey.
And Hulk Hogan.
Ooh.
Did not get a warm reception, did Hulkster?
Nope.
It was more than a smattering, but not 100%.
Yeah.
I would say, if I had to put a number on it, 63% boos.
And it's just Flair and Hogan coming back again to just pop that rating.
Hey, classic TNA rivalry, that is. They all introduced the Brock clip from the previous week to further hype SmackDown. Season premiere. Lacey Evans then took on Ember Moon, so that was 2 singles women's matches in a row.
I actually much preferred this match. I thought this match was very, very good.
Yeah, it started out really hot.
Yeah.
Ember Moon just did this stiff drop kick to Lacey's chin right out the gate.
Right in the face.
Which they did a slow motion replay of, and you can see like Lacey's whole face ripple across.
It was really, really good.
And then also on the outside, Ember found herself sitting on the apron, and Lacey came over to, pick her up. And Ember effectively turned that into an eclipse.
Yeah. It was
really cool.
It was really annoying me because the commentators go like, I can't believe she hit a stunner out of nowhere. I was like, dude, it's a finishing move. Call it the eclipse.
I mean, I guess the eclipse, you've got to sort of do a forward roll in the air.
But it is
I know.
end of it. But actually, I've got to put over Lacey Evans. Her slingshot drop kick is such a wicked move. It's awesome. She does it so well.
This is how Lacey Evans should have been booked from January.
I know.
I
feel like a broken record saying it, but you're absolutely right.
You keep having matches like this. You don't do any of the walkout nonsense. And then, as soon as Becky has won the title at WrestleMania, boom, there's your first challenger, Lacey Evans.
Yeah.
Bit of Asuka as well for the SmackDown side.
Not only she's got to be in a tag team.
Good point. Kabuki!
And,
sounds like you celebrate.
Hoppa!
Yeah. Bingo.
And then Moon was up on top. Lacey gave her the woman's right, so she fell down. And then she locked in the sharpshooter, and Moon tapped out. Sucks to be Ember Moon, but thought the match was pretty good. Natalia was watching all of this.
Yeah, Ember's not blonde.
Well, yeah, quite. Natalia was watching backstage, and Not Renee walked up to her about it and, asked her, hey, what do you think of her using the move? And Natalia said, well, she hasn't mastered the sharpshooter yet. And I'm like, she's won twice with it.
I know. What a way to bury Ember Moon. Oh, yeah. Ember's rubbish.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anyone would have tapped out to that.
I didn't like this at all. But for that, and also because Natalia is watching the TV with the most sort of S-word eating grin. She's just there like, but it's also completely vacuous at the same time.
Well, my note here is Natty is watching backstage with zero expression. Like if you'd have looked at that frame and you said, "Tell me the story," like to someone who doesn't watch this show, tell me the story that she is trying to tell with that facial expression. No one would be able to tell you the story that she is telling.
I thought there was a slight smile. If you asked me, I'd have gone, Lacey's her daughter? She's happy for her? I don't know. It wasn't very good, but I am excited. They're doing a good job of building Lacey and Natalya as what I hope will be a submission match by the end of this.
Surely, gotta be, yeah. A sharpshooter on a pole match.
It's just a shame that Ember had to sort of be fodder for that.
Again, she's not blonde.
Then we got Firefly Funhouse. We've already talked about that. An NXT recap in online article form.
I was going to say, I'm putting recap in big quotation marks there.
That was one of the most cinematically potential clip-heavy shows NXT have ever done as a weekly TV thing.
Oh, yeah.
And you did not show one clip.
No.
Nothing from that massive brawl. Nothing from Imperium. No Roderick Strong winning the United States. Oh, that's wrong. North American title.
Yeah. The Fatal 4-Way, which was really, really good.
There was so much. You have got video editors by the million in Stamford. Just put something together.
Yeah.
Oh. We have got a
fire alarm is going off.
Don't often get those. Just going to run out.
Oh, man. I suppose I'll continue running down the show, maybe. This is...
Do you want to talk to me, Luke?
Do you want to do some super chats, Randy?
Yeah, sure. God, turn your headphones down, everyone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very sorry about all this.
Let's have a look. KJ says, I turned 20 today. All I want is a Drake Maverick spot and Dolph Ziggler to be WWE champion.
Can we come back to that one because Ollie's not here to do the Drake Maverick spot?
That's true. James Krause says, get to that chopper, King Chopper. Was wondering if you all could wish my daughter Leah a happy 10th birthday. It was on Sunday. Thank you.
Well, happy birthday, Leah. Yeah. If you can hear me over this very, very awfully loud noise, we'll try and do another happy birthday wish. You got a question rather than like requests.
Let's have a look.
Don't really want to do a request where people can't really hear us. I'm going to be answering questions.
Dang. No. None of these are questions.
I'll tell you what, Randy, what did you think of Raw?
I thought it was fine, broadly fine. Yeah, it was good few matches in there. The Natalya thing, apparently, what's her face?
Should we go?
Apparently Lacey botched it, which is why Natalya said, "Hooray!"
Sorry, so...
Which is why Natalya was like, oh, apparently they were trying to play into a storyline.
That makes Moon look even worse then.
Yeah.
Because Moon still tapped out to it.
The comments. Burn it down.
Oh, I'm very, very sorry about
Kane.
that, folks. Yeah, it's gotta be Kane.
It's gotta be Kane.
Well, I mean, really, it's Scott Steiner. Holler if you hear me. Everything okay? No actual fires?
Oh my God, there's a fire!
There's a big fire, guys. I got a few orphans out. There were some pregnant women too that I helped. I just sort of squatted one and threw her out the window onto a nice big pile of boxes downstairs. Oh God, there's so much death though. There's so much death. But we are so committed. I broke the fire alarm so it will no longer interfere in the recording. And we'll pay the consequences later.
Randy was just informing me on the sharpshooter thing. Apparently, Natalya's line where she said she still hasn't mastered it yet is because Lacey botched the move. And so they're trying to turn that into a storyline that Lacey can't do the sharpshooter properly, which makes Ember look worse.
According to Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Radio.
Was that them figuring it out, or was that them saying this is what the story is? Because there's a big difference.
I don't remember.
Your camera isn't switching as well. I don't know if you're pressing the right. There you go. That's the right one.
I don't remember.
Okay, right. Well, in which case, let's discard that because that may have just been conjecture.
Okay, next up we had R-Truth and Carmella. A 4-month story where Carmella really should have been the first ever 24/7 champion.
Women's champion.
Yeah, you're right. turning on Truth.
Because Robert Roode was the first ever.
First ever. And of course we had, was it Maria Kanellis was the first? Was it
first
Alundra Blaze?
I think Alundra... No, it was Kelly was the first women's.
Yeah.
And then Alundra Blaze won it.
And then there was the Kanellis stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Carmella, I think there was still money in a feud between the two.
Yeah.
Even if it was all done for comedy. That's not what happened. R-Truth and Carmella just ran down to the ring here, chased by all the jobbers. Carmella's like, stop! I can't do this anymore.
And they all stopped.
The 24/7 title is ruining our lives and my life. I'm out. And she sort of then rolls up Truth and becomes the new champion.
And Truth looked shocked, but then very pleased that Carmella had won the title. And then, because now Carmella is champion, that opened the floodgates for all the jobber ladies to come down. So poor old Sarah Logan is now a part of that, along with the Iconics. And I believe Dana Brooke was also there.
Yeah.
And they chased after them. And they tried to do a spot where Carmella was going to give Truth the piggyback, but she couldn't quite lift him, so Truth had to give her the piggyback again. And I feel sorry for Sarah Logan in all of this.
Yeah. And
the Iconics.
That's sad.
Yeah.
The Iconics are comedy characters anyway. Yeah, Dana Brooke makes sense. I would have said, actually, you're the first person out there.
Yeah.
But what does this mean for Carmella on SmackDown? Because last week, she helped Charlotte fight off Bayley and Sasha Banks. And I just kind of assumed that was going to be a thing.
Maybe they're dropping that storyline.
Or was it ever a storyline?
I mean, if it wasn't ever a storyline, why'd you do it?
But they did the same with Rusev and Maria Kanellis.
That's very true. Yeah, do you know what? Let's just do things for the sake of doing them. Why bother with continuity?
Maybe we're reading too much into this.
Are we, though? Are we, though?
Are we reading... No, I'm saying, like, everything. Like, maybe it's time to just pack up and leave, because they're just things that happen.
Continuity ship has sailed.
Nothing connects to anything. Sasha and Bayley are backstage. They talk about how great they are. Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura are backstage. Sami's hyping up Nakamura. You're an artiste.
And Nakamura tells him to be quiet. So Sami Zayn continues to do his hyping, but whispers it instead. Comedy.
Which is really funny.
Yeah.
I don't like them together because they're much better as solo acts, but they are very funny together.
Sami's great, yeah. He's great on the outside.
Speaking of great together, 2 weeks in a row. Well, this wasn't match of the night for me, but I enjoyed it tremendously. Chad Gable taking on Baron Corbin. King Corbin.
So Corbin's now got a royal edit to his music. It's quite bad. But like you say, I think it's intentionally quite bad. I'm actually going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say it's intentionally bad.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to... I mean, having said that, they do this a lot where they just stop one track and start another one, because Fire and Desire have got the exact same thing. And that's not done for heat. That's done because they're bad at what they do. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt this is supposed to be bad and annoying.
Yeah, and it's like the one thing about Baron Corbin that wasn't actually that heelish, because it's a banging tune, was his entrance theme.
Yeah, it's the last Jim Johnston theme.
Yeah, and now it's like you've got this awful regal bit in the listen to it. I'm not very good at describing it.
But he's got a new cape and a new scepter and a new crown.
Very Game of Thrones style. It's sort of a fur cape, King of the North, black crown. I think, of all the stupid King of the Ring outfits, this is pretty badass.
It is. Does undermine Chad Gable killing it all last week, though, because he just got a new one.
Yeah, but it would have been nice if we had some VTs earlier in the night of Corbin going out and saying, can you make me this one? Can you?
Yeah,
as Batman, I want it in black.
As a kingly thing, I want it in black or very, very dark grey.
But yeah, they recap what happened on SmackDown, and this was... Gable comes down, and he is... really broken out of his shell, I guess, is the story they're trying to tell from when he snapped on Corbin the previous week. Because all before then, the month before then, he was very insular, very beaten down by everyone backstage, really, because of how short he is. The match graphic, really funnily, had Chad Gable so far down the screen, and Baron Corbin was right
I did wonder that if they'd done that intentionally, but Seth was about the same height as well, because I think they wanted to make Braun look very, very tall in his match graphic.
Heights.
So I liked this segment a lot. And the crowd got so into
Oh
Gable,
my God, yeah.
massively into Gable, because he is such a good babyface. Absolutely incredible at what he does. But can I pitch you a better version? At least
yes.
what I feel would have been a better version of this. Because Corbin's come this promo saying that, don't worry, folks, tonight's match is going to be very short.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I'm not going to wrestle anyone under 5'5" ever again. Ha, ha, ha. Then he takes a long time taking off his robe, putting his crown on. Chad just runs at him, Chaos Theory pins him. And it's like, you're right, that match was short. And uses all of the insults
that is good.
against the people who've been giving them to him.
Yep, I really like that. But I also really I love the finish, what they did here.
Well, that's it, yeah, because the crowd got so into this, then I'm not going to say that my version is better than what they did, but it's an alternative.
Because what you do then is I now genuinely believe that Chad Gable beating Baron Corbin, hopefully when they do it in a month's time, maybe they pull it out till Survivor Series, is going to be a real feel-good moment because he hasn't beaten him yet. And that would sort of negate that.
It's very true, yeah. Very true.
Yeah, so the finish here after a long match and really, really good. Corbin's such a good heel. There was a bit when the crowd were a bit quiet and Corbin took his time and started riling up the crowd.
Yeah, he's amazing at working that crowd because they had gone very, very quiet, but then he'll just stand up and just like put his finger to his ear or he'll point to the crowd and be like, that's me. And all of a sudden the crowd bought it. Hook, line, and sinker were like, that mother effer.
Boo!
Boo! I don't want you being king of the ring.
And that in turn
Chad.
Gives chance to Chad. So when Chad starts to make his comeback, it's just like a natural response. And Chad's got that natural empathetic connection with the audience anyway. It really, really worked. There was some really good stuff, really good sequences near the end too. The crowd went crazy for Gable climbing to the top rope to hit a moonsault.
Yeah.
Like, bigger than Ricochet gets. But just because they were so into seeing him hit a moonsault, which in 2019 isn't that impressive, but it means something because Chad might win the high-angle German suplex. He eventually does hit the moonsault for a great near fall. Then he's got the ankle lock in. I'm like, well, here it is. He might win it, beat here. And Corbin gets to the corner. Of course, it's the King of the Ring scepter and hits Chad in the head for the DQ loss.
He beats him down after with it. Boo.
So my fantasy booking here is Corbin has some loyal subjects. And they can just be jobbers. What's Jinder Mahal doing? Yeah, the B team.
Jinder.
And Chad has to beat them all while Corbin looks on to get a shot at Corbin.
As long as he brings the throne back. Like a big sort of
and he
Iron
can
Throne
watch from
stuff.
the throne.
Yeah, totally.
And then
like he's Shao Kahn.
And then you have that the final Corbin Gable match at Survivor Series. Because I'm worried sometimes when WWE are like, oh, this match is good. Let's do it every week for the next 6 weeks. I'm like, like they did with Cesaro, Ricochet, and others. So, yeah, but this was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. I personally wouldn't have changed anything.
It's fair enough, yeah.
Speaking of good, AOP's video package. I liked what they did last week, where it's a completely new presentation of them. They're in suits, they're talking in their native languages, and they're effectively saying all the tag division are scared of us. This week, they said, yep, like sort of Aleister Black style. Yep, no one's knocked on our door. But unlike Aleister Black, they then went, so let's go and find some folks.
Yeah. But it goes like, well, rather than talk about how good we are, I'm just going to show you. So they just get up and they walk and they beat up Heath Slater and someone else couldn't make out who the other person was.
I think it was No Way Jose.
Oh, yeah?
But I might be wrong.
And then they just sat back down in their chair.
But it was like the feed cut out, and it just cut back to them sitting down, brushing off their suits.
Adjusting up their suits and stuff.
It was awesome.
They look wicked in their suits
I really enjoyed the first week of this. I thought this was... And it's so Heyman. That is very Heyman presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got the 5-way elimination match to crown the number one contender for next week's season premiere of Raw between Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, AJ Styles, Robert Roode, and Shinsuke Nakamura. 5 guys.
Throwing onions at each other.
Yeah.
Paying for overpriced burgers.
And this was really fun.
It really,
I
was,
really enjoyed it. Yeah.
So many of my notes are just like, man, Robert Roode versus Rey is fun. Man, AJ versus Nakamura is fun. Man, Nakamura versus Rey is fun. And it was just like all the various different combinations here were just making me go like, oh, this is a really, really fun match.
Like, it's easy to forget because WWE flatten almost everyone out when they come to them. But look at that. Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a dream match. Like a stupid dream match where you go, no one's booking that. Just 5 years ago. That match is impossible. That's too fantasy.
And that's 5 guys who should be bona fide main eventers.
The restaurant chain?
I mean, I don't think their burgers are that good, but I think these 5 guys certainly should.
Yeah. So it was a real joy to watch, and it was everyone got good turns. I felt like the problem with elimination matches sometimes is that you have to beat 4 guys, the prelude to the restaurant chain. But this time, everyone got protected with the various blindsided finishers, or they got caught with stuff. I didn't feel like anyone lost anything here. And I thought Robert Roode looked really good in it, going to the final 2 against Rey.
And I marked out as I was transported back in time 15 years ago when AJ and Robert Roode were beating down Ricochet, and the crowd started chanting, TNA, TNA. Yeah. I was like, yeah, TNA chants!
Rey won. He'll face Seth next week. And he sort of he didn't dedicate next week's match to Dominic.
No.
Nor should he.
Because he's going to lose that one. Yeah.
Fiend. And then we got the Braun Strowman Seth Rollins match, which we've spoken about briefly. Oh, just before that, Charlie asked Seth for his thoughts, like, you're facing Bray at Hell in a Cell. You've got Rey Mysterio now next week. And Seth says, well, fighting champion, everyone wants a piece of me. I've got to go out there and do that all the time. Completely free of irony, WWE then cut to a graphic of Brock Lesnar on next week's show. Yeah. Who will likely be a champion soon, who won't show up and entertain anyone.
Well, the report is he's going back to full-time now that he's moving. Yeah, because he's going to be part of the Fox deal. That he's going to be full-time.
Fox money.
It'll be no longer part-time. Although Seth has got a new catchphrase now. Did you catch this? You did it a lot in his opening promo and did it again here.
Season premiere?
Survive and prevail is his new phrase.
It's very Triple H.
Be on a T-shirt soon enough in that Seth Rollins font.
It's not quite burn it down, is it?
No, you can't channel along that one.
Survive and prevail. Survive and prevail. Sounds like a sort of a white supremacist.
And next week we're getting Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks.
Cool. And then the main event was Seth and Braun, which was an okay match. I liked bits of it, and then the Fiend was really good at the end.
Yeah.
So overall, I enjoyed this episode of Raw. I loved all the Fiend stuff, but really, this was a setup show for next week's episode.
For the season premiere.
Yeah, which is not just the season premiere, it's the Hell in a Cell go-home show.
Is it really? Oh, bloody hell, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
And technically, the SmackDown move to Fox go-home show.
Yeah.
So very exciting.
A lot to build there, and we're going to get a whole new set. According to WrestleVotes, we're also getting Pyro returning next week on a full-time basis. So next week is going to feel like a really big deal. We're obviously hoping to pop a big rating for it by advertising Brock and Hogan and Flair, because why advertise your current stars? They're not going to get over. They're not going to draw ratings. So they're hoping for a big, big deal next week.
Yeah. Well, let's get over to your super chats with Brandy Andy Datson.
But first, Ollie, have you been looking at Chris Jericho's Instagram recently?
I mean, I might have heard something. Tell me more, Randy.
Well, if you go to Chris Jericho's Instagram, which is Chris Jericho Fozzy, you will see that he has posted a picture of the WrestleTalk magazine.
Look at that.
He says, cool to be on the cover of the new WrestleTalk.official. Oh, he's actually changed it to include our Instagram.
Aww. Cheers,
what a
Chris.
guy.
Maybe he got my message. I messaged him. Maybe he got it. In the UK and available worldwide.
Let me see if you cut to this camera, let's see if this one shows up a bit better, because yours was a bit overexposed. There it is, folks. How cool is that?
Interestingly, I commented on it to say it's a truly wonderful magazine, and now everyone's commenting saying, haha, I can totally see Ollie writing this, or I read this in Ollie's voice. I was like, yeah, fair enough.
I do not have enough time to do.
He's also tweeted and Facebooked it, as far as I know, so thank you to
Chris.
him.
I'm sure he's watching right now. He's watching this live stream.
Wonderful, wonderful magazine, so do go and
Le
pick it
Champion.
up. If you can, shop.bigcartel.com
Correct.
Yeah.
Or go into your local news agents.
if you live in the UK.
Yeah.
So we will start with some super chats to say, James Krause says, "Get to the chopper, King Chopper. Was wondering if y'all could wish my daughter Leah a happy 10th birthday. It was on Sunday the 22nd. Thanks."
Thank you so much for watching, and a happy birthday to you. Was it 10th birthday?
10th birthday to Leah, double digits.
Double digits. I remember that being a big, big deal when I turned 10.
10.
Yeah.
10.
10.
10. Happy New Year.
And I believe there was another one before that we didn't do because Ollie was out of the room.
Yeah, we will get to that. Don't worry, I won't miss one.
Okay.
KJ says, "I turned 20 today. All I want is a Drake Maverick spot.
That's the one.
And Dolph Ziggler to be WWE champion.
It should have been me.
Any advice for someone who's just entered their 20s?
Give up all your hopes and dreams of Dolph Ziggler becoming WWE champion.
Drake Maverick.
Also, just enjoy your 20s, man. I had a bit of a blast in my 20s.
20s, all about saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
And then in the 30s, you're like, God, it's just too much.
But also,
Let's cut that
if you're
down.
stuck in something you're not enjoying, it's so early in your life that you can just change. So don't worry about that. Firefly Fan House Ender Madden says, "Hey Chopper, heard you got engaged on your birthday. Congrats, bro." He did not. He's been engaged for several years now.
See, Randy knew.
Fiend was great this show. Feel like Seth could probably just let him in. Yes, he got engaged on a bridge in Newcastle, I think.
Yeah, news to me. Every day is a learning experience with Chopper.
Abram Penner says, "Chapamon Royal Digivolve to King Chapawapamon."
That's a Digimon reference, I'm guessing.
It is. It's a
Nerds.
good one. The Zornis says, "Happy birthday, Tomo," because apparently it was Tomo's birthday yesterday.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Tomo.
Cheap pop for you, and Limps jumps in as well to say, "Tomo's birthday was yesterday. Give him a cheap pop."
Will do
Oh,
indeed.
give it more than a cheap pop. It's an expensive. I don't know how to make it expensive. The bubbly.
Dollar.
We'll have a little bit of the bubbly. A little bit of this weird cocktail thing that we didn't drink a lot of because...
No, that's
so fizzy.
Isn't that a new one that you bought to replace it because you liked it so much?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. We told Dan it was horrible.
Jose Kinde says, "I think Alistair and AOP would make a good stable. They wear suits, hang out in dark rooms waiting for someone to fight them or knock on their doors."
Also, they're all foreign.
Yeah, based on that new League of Nations.
Yes.
Book it, Vince.
That's about time.
Limps again says, "Dang, Corbin had legit chemistry with a wrestler. Best match tonight in my opinion, and even in commentary. Also, Becky has a better promo than his man." Oh, better than Seth, I guess.
Yeah. Baron Corbin's had chemistry with a lot of wrestlers on the King of the Ring tournament since he's come back, really. He's been knocking it out of the park.
He really has.
Rons Rajen says, "How long in kayfabe do you think Sasha and Bayley were awkwardly staring off in different directions before they started cutting their backstage promo?"
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Elijah Whitfield says, "What the hell are they doing with EC3? I'm so angry how he's turned out."
Yeah. To think it was just this year when late last year, I guess, when they started doing that on their way to WWE.
December last year, because they did their whole "you're the authority now." Apparently it was the injury that he got against Velveteen Dream at TakeOver Brooklyn last year,
and the audacity to get Dean Ambrose more over when they booked them in the feud when Dean Ambrose was going to leave and everyone started cheering him anyway.
Yeah.
Somehow that's EC3's fault.
Joseph Gonzalez says, "I can't wait for season 2 of Raw."
Yeah. I mean, what a
26
long
years,
season it was.
Kevin says, "Have you heard Cole saying to Renee she may lose her place if she kept disrespecting Corbin? This would be a funny way to write her off TV for the commentary shift next week. Just kidding, this is an awful idea. Don't do it, WWE."
Hey, I mean, they just debuted Mickie James as their new commentator for main events. So maybe Mickie James could take her role. Hardcore commentary.
2-man booth. It's man for a reason.
This one is from Chris, who says, "I wanted to apply to be the editor, but I go to uni. It isn't part-time, is it? I need experience editing wrestling, though. Any suggestions where to go?"
Just make friends with your local independent wrestling promotion. I'm sure they'll be thankful for work to because everyone films their stuff now, it seems, and has an on-demand service.
Matthew Shield says, I like that they advertise Firefly Funhouse and not the Fiend attack. It keeps the attack more surprising, and you never know when he attacks.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't make any sense, would it, if it's a surprise attack? Although that WWE seemed to... That sounds very WWE.
Yeah.
We're going to have a surprise attack later on, so stay tuned.
Stick around. The Fiend is coming.
I know it's Lacey Evans versus Ember Moon now, but there will be a surprise run-in.
Pratik Pankaj says, hey Ollie, Luke and Andy, you guys haven't fancy booked in a long while. I'd say book the Fiend's Universal title run. Big props and love from India.
Well, thank you very much for getting in touch. Yeah, Fantasy Booking Warfare is on a permanent hiatus at the moment.
Permanent hiatus? Just like indefinite hiatus?
Yeah. I mean, it's
Permanent it's never coming back.
Well, it's on a permanent hiatus.
It's not never coming back.
At this point, it feels like it's never coming back.
It's a lot of effort to do them.
Yeah, because it never comes up in any of our conversations anymore, which makes me think it is on...
And everyone is ill.
And everyone's ill.
Venom Kitetsu says, just got home from work and playing Link's Awakening while I listen in.
Oh, nice.
Venom's been getting in touch with me. I believe this is the same chap. He's been getting in touch with me because he's never beaten Castlevania 3. So while I'm trying to beat Castlevania, he's sending me his progression on beating Castlevania 3.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
Insolent Crow says, we already have names for the other kinds of WrestleTalk fans, so I propose that people who send super chats be known as Super Swafters.
I think we have had that, haven't we? Super Swafters?
Yeah. Well, Super Swafters is good.
Yeah,
I'll
we
take
just never continued the branding. So yeah, let's continue with it.
Gaura Vaidya says, off-air, Seth stomped the Fiend a few times. Yes, he did.
Yeah,
we'll have that in the news episode coming up later.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. It's not all non-canon.
James Holland says, should Bianca Belair manage AOP? What a strange suggestion, but good suggestion anyway.
No. There's no connection there. If anything,
right.
She should be with the Street Profits because she's married. She's married, right? Not just
to
engaged.
Montez Ford, yeah.
Yeah, to Montez Ford.
Yeah, I'm saying no to all of that. That's
I'm
a big
not
no.
sure she's a manager at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big no
Oh,
on all accounts from me.
Pratik Pankaj again says, my first super chat. Brackets S, feeling really happy somehow. Oh, that's good. We're glad.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Petty Kruger says, do you think with the draft coming that Raw would have to start pushing NXT call-ups like drafting Alistair to Raw and actually pushing Bobby Roode?
There's the rolling R.
Sorry,
No.
that was an accident.
They happen, man. I've done them occasionally. I mean, I would say that you should just push NXT guys and girls regardless of a draft.
Yeah, and I think they will for at least 3 weeks
Yes.
after the season premiere.
Yeah.
We're going to get a lot of, oh, that's a new look. Oh, what a strong victory they've had over the Colognes. And then nothing after 3 weeks.
Tomo!
Thomas! Happy birthday,
Hey.
Thomas!
Hello, guys. As it was my birthday yesterday, can I get a happy birthday for me and Pete? Love you all.
Happy birthday, mate.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Pete, as well.
Although because he's in Australia, it wasn't his birthday like 2 days from now, the way the time works.
Oh,
Yeah, his birthday is actually in December.
Yeah.
He's now 58.
Yeah, it's a weird place,
Oh.
Australia.
Sorry.
Firefly Fanhouse Ender Madden again says, really, who's the baby daddy? I got Maverick.
Yeah, the Maria storyline.
Yeah, someone suggested Drake Maverick, and I was like, that's the only logical conclusion to that story.
Oh, yeah.
Good shout, yeah.
Apparently, Meltzer said in The Observer last week is that it is supposed to be this sort of like long-running drama of who the dad is going to be, and they are going to reveal who the dad is, but he did say that it was told to me that it's a joke and not anything to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
But apparently Maury, as someone, is basically like the American Jeremy Kyle got in touch to say that he would do a DNA test, like a paternity test on the show. And I was like, man, if WWE had taken this seriously, they could have actually got some like mainstream pub off of this. But as it is, it's a joke with no real ending. That
Kurt Angle.
maybe now's the time to change. It's either it could be Kurt Angle's dirty secret, or it's Hornswoggle
I was
again.
going to say Hornswoggle, yeah.
That is so Attitude Era, having this, DNA test cross over into a Jerry Springer style format.
If they do, I hope the Sandman is there, and then when they announce it, he doesn't leave when he's supposed to. So he's standing there right until the end. Such a good moment.
Nick Jen says, did you see Bray tweet out losing control?
Ooh,
Oh,
no, I didn't.
yeah.
We're all going on Brave Twitter.
But is that losing control like him losing control of The Fiend, or is it WWE losing control of their production department?
There it is, yeah. Well, no, I said, forgive us, Braun. This will all make sense in the end. I'm losing control of it. I'm sorry, so sorry.
Oh, so it is. It is him.
Yeah.
Timono Zumaki says, just to say, very pleased to see Sasha. Eric Martinez says, hey, Ollie and Luke. So in the event we get Brock versus Fiend and Survivor Series, how do you think they'll be making the Fiend care about Raw versus SmackDown theme if they go in that direction? Thanks.
Well, that's because it's brand loyalty.
Yeah, it's difficult because they would have both been refreshed. So it'd be hard to have a lot of loyalty over just 6 weeks. I hope they don't do the brand versus stuff this year, and they just do storyline-driven 5-on-5 matches.
And in fairness, like, Brock didn't really care about the Raw brands at the Survivor Series thing last year. And the same way that Daniel Bryan didn't really care about SmackDown. It's only if we're really in that sort of 5-on-5 that they tend to care about the brand loyalty nonsense. But yeah, no, I kind of hope it's more just story-driven stuff. Team Kevin versus Team Shane.
And then all the storylines don't have to stop, because that's what happens around Survivor Series time.
Yeah.
Nate Dropped Surname says, it seemed like Fiend was yelling why as he was choking Braun, almost like he was yelling like it hurt him to do it, and then it turned to laughing.
Shouldn't be the Fiend shouting why, though.
Well, Braun couldn't.
I heard why as well. And it's really interesting, because for me, that would be the Fiend, there's me mandible clawing, by the way, like screaming at Braun, saying, why? If the Fiend is kind of this manifestation of personal hurt and anger, he would have a kind of childlike, why?
Like, why are you making me do this to you?
Or like, why did you leave me, man?
Yeah.
The Fiend never forgets.
Or,
whatever it is, it's still freaking cool.
Or in a Bray asking the Fiend why, that he's making him do it.
I think the Fiend's the Fiend and Bray's Bray, yeah.
Sidesh Mirjankar says, the King Solomon story just said King Corbin should do that to find who's the father of Maria Kanellis' child, Lamau.
I'm all up for that. Screw Maury. Baron to, decree, I will figure this out. You know what? I've gone from having so much Corbin and, being sick of him to now I want all the Corbin.
You want more Corbin.
I want him in every storyline now. Even the Fiend. I want him to be the only guy who can walk onto the Firefly Funhouse set.
Deary me.
Petty Kruger says, who should get an immediate push after the draft?
Chad Gable.
Alistair Black.
M.A. Campbell says, will R-Truth beat Ravenclaw's... Sorry. Raven's hardcore title push.
Oh, I mean, he's getting there, isn't he? Because he's, 19 at the moment?
19,
yeah, he's getting there.
Overtaking Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Anton H. Next week, Bray should take over commentary production as well as have Huskus and Rambling Rabbit on commentary.
If he does all the voices, that will be impossible.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of it, though. Can they do it properly and the execution be good? I'm skeptical, but they've done everything else really well.
Hey, and do you know what? Do you remember when the Muppets were the hosts on Raw?
That was good.
They did that brilliantly, mate.
Yeah, it was genuinely really funny.
Yeah.
But everyone behind the commentary would be able to see the hand, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah, but it's have you seen kids reacting with people holding up the Muppets and stuff? Kids don't look at the people. They don't look at the puppeteers. They just see the puppets and be like, oh my God, it's amazing.
That's true.
Big Bird's there.
Anton H. says, next week, Bray should take over commentary production as... Zach Icon Lindner says, happy birthday, Chopper. # Chop of the Earth.
Yes, always happy birthday, Chopper. I've just had a realization when you were doing that. That's a mandible claw kind of thing.
Oh.
Is Bray
It's a puppet thing.
It's a puppet thing.
It's a puppet thing.
It's a puppet. And it's also Wyatt previously was, pulling the strings and everyone who's a master manipulator, puppets. I never thought about the whole puppet side of things. It's staring you right in the face as well.
I just realised we've got a lot more to get through, so let's go quick. How do you feel they will book Braun from here on?
Ineffectively.
Strongly.
Lester Wink 23 says, less deserving of their push, Lacey or Baron?
Oh, you know what? They both come out of that being overpushed, and they've settled really well into where they are right now.
Yeah, no, agreed.
EA says, I'm planning on going to next week's SmackDown as The Fiend.
Nice. To the season premiere.
Tim,
That'll be cosplay everywhere soon.
Oh, yeah.
hopefully.
Well, there was 2 people at Raw who photographed themselves dressed up. I think it was their kids were dressed up in Fiend masks in the front row.
Tim Arndt says, this chat's for the WrestleTalk showcase yesterday. Support indie wrestling.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Yeah, it was a great match. If you haven't watched it, Rampage Brown versus Shuji Ishikawa. I love the hell out of it.
Oh, it's so good.
It was yesterday's WrestleTalk showcase episode.
Ricky Partridge says, you think Seth is loving this as a comic book fan?
Oh,
Seth? Is he a comic book fan?
Yeah, I think so. I know he's a Harry Potter fan.
nerd. To the comic book thing. I'd imagine he probably is.
Ben Greenwood says, amazing seeing the magazine on Jericho's Instagram. Yes, it was. So thank you
A bit
again.
of the Instagram.
Little bit of the cuffly.
Caleb Maldonado says, Link's Awakening is fantastic.
I really want to play it. Link's Awakening, for those that don't know, is my king of Zelda games. It's my favourite one.
Ocarina,
Love it.
this guy.
Brock Batty says, waiting for Chopper to pick a fight with me. Knock on my door, Chopper. Just knock. You know where to find me. I'll be waiting. Just knock.
Yeah,
well,
Brock
you'll have to
emailed-
wait till he's back from holiday.
He emailed a challenge to Chopper. Not sure what we can do with it, but yeah, he did email a challenge to Chopper, but via me.
Wow. Yeah, well, we'll see where this feud happens.
Oh, where?
Guy2231 says, Andy, feel better soon from Louisiana. It was just, I apologized earlier for my voice. I'm starting to feel like I might be getting what Laurie's getting, so stay away. I'm feeling very hot and sore.
Totally your sex tape.
James Hollins says, should Ronda Rousey's return and Baszler's call-up be on the same day?
Oh, that would be great, but they would overshadow Shayna.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because if I'm picking my place to return Ronda, it's number 30 in the Rumble.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I forgot Ronda was a thing.
I think that's what WWE were hoping Fox were going to do.
Yeah.
Christian Baltimore says, should I be happy that Sarah Logan got on TV or mad that it was with the 24/7 crap? Lovely time with the Brave Boys.
Mad.
I'm going to say neither. Sad.
Oh, yeah, that's a better third option.
Triveshkar Pure says, the OC's theme is a heavily edited Ambrose theme.
I'd have to listen to it back. It should be California.
Nikolai
Shots fired at AEW as well.
Imagine if they just came out like that with the OC graphic name bar.
All doing their big two seasons.
Nikolai Azzopardi says, why wasn't the Baron Gable match not posted? Why wasn't it posted on YouTube?
I don't know.
Good question.
Dina Sisse says, I don't have a question today, so here's a super chat just to say you guys are amazing and keep up the great content.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're amazing.
Cheers.
You're
She
amazing.
is. Mr. Deegan2 says, hearing Braun shouting Bray and why while in the Mandible Claw made it all the better. Full credit to Braun for making it feel amazing. Seth screaming, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Braun had a nice tweet about it as well. Someone reposted where he was just like, hey, I'm not that little boy you found in the woods anymore.
When was Braun ever a little boy? They found him in the woods? What?
Yeah. Well, that was because he was part of the Wyatt family, wasn't he? So we must have found him at some point.
That was never canon or anything. Wow. Okay, well, there's some more Wyatt family mythos.
Yeah.
Nate Drop Surname says, during a Firefly Funhouse, Bray said, what in the flat earth is going on here? Feuding with AJ Styles next confirmed.
Hey, I keep getting corrected. He's not a flat earther. He just thinks there's a possibility, which makes me think he's a flat earther.
They just ask some interesting questions. The gay community?
The gay community?
Jonathan Bryant says, Fiend should beat Seth and ignore the title. Next champ crown, Fiend beats him, ignores the title, etc. That will make him a huge, but with no regard to the belt.
I was going to say, that buries the belt somewhat.
Yeah, I think you can do this without devaluing the belt, and I think they've done a very good job so far.
Nathan the Alpha Wolf Vela says, happy National Punctuation Day. Ah, woo! Wolf emoji.
Nice. It's National Punctuation Day.
Really, you should have used an emoticon. rather than an emoji.
Yeah, you're
to
right.
celebrate punctuation.
He did use
right.
4 exclamation marks.
Well, that's not celebrating. That's overuse.
I'd say that's
That's what my dad-in-law does.
yeah, it's the most basic of punctuation.
You're basic.
You're basic.
Jade Star says Fiend takes over Raw, destroys Hogan, Flair, and Rey.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, because
Brother.
apparently next week Goldberg's coming back as well. So I can almost see Goldberg Dolph Ziggler comes out for the Miz TV segment to be like the "it should have been me" shtick. Goldberg comes out, more jackhams and stuff, and then we get the Fiend coming out, and he lays waste to Goldberg, Hogan, and Flair.
That's almost too strong.
But it's also, like I said with Kane last week, it's almost off course. He wants to be focusing on Seth.
It needs to be Rey, really.
Yeah.
Mrs. S says, who else thought the opening graphics were awesome?
Oh yeah, it's
This
in the
guy
thumbnail.
loved it. And it's so nice to start an episode of Raw in the morning and from the very first second go amazing.
Yeah.
Because that does not happen often.
From the bumper.
Gabriel Reyes says the Fiend has hacked into the fire alarm.
Yeah, maybe it was Firefly Funhouse.
It's all making sense now. And we did get that care package today.
Oh my god.
It's all connected.
King Rasta says, here's my impression of Ollie Davis fisting.
It's because I was talking about the fist coming back for the SmackDown set yesterday.
Right.
The fist.
Kevin says, Ollie talks about NXT. Does that mean he watched it?
I did actually. Yeah, it was really good.
Nate dropped surname says, you are not fire safety role models. Hashtag brave boys.
Come on, if you've ever worked in an office and a fire alarm goes off, no one moves.
No, you gotta wait. You gotta wait until you can actually smell smoke before you're like, yeah, maybe we should go to the fire safety point then.
Oh, do we have to?
I'm
We're going 20 minutes.
Particularly if you're on your lunch break, you'd be like, oh, I'm not gonna get that back, am I?
Justin Adelheit says, should Braun interfere at Hell in a Cell? It would make the storyline sense since the Fiend attacked him last night and having no winner protects the Fiend.
No one should interfere in a Hell in a Cell match.
That's the point.
Apart from Bailey.
Rips the door
or
off.
Kane.
Hugs the door off. Kane the Great Black says, Chopper is better than Randy. Kane, you sent 2 other messages. I'm not sure I want to read them now. He said something about King Corbin, and I could have sworn I heard Renee say to Cole that Mysterio rude finish, so you're giving him S-word now.
Oh, I don't think Corey said anything.
No, those are stupid messages, Kane. Connor Shaw says, Carmella and CF versus Banks and Bailey tonight on SmackDown Live.
Oh, CF
Charlotte
Flair.
So that is having a follow-up,
So
and she'll be the 24/7 champion.
Yeah, so Banks could win it.
It all could.
That's
I mean, I'm sure they're all going to be like, what the hell's that belt? What's this ugly thing?
Nate drops surname says, did you catch Renee and Corey joke when Mella won?
Yeah, Corey was like, well, that's fantastic for me because they are dating
They
in
are.
real life.
Is it fantastic for him, though? Surely their lives are ruined now.
I don't know. He was very proud of her.
It's a great belt.
Is it?
Michael Dominguez says, Andy's back. I love him. Roll R's. I'll do one later.
Don't you dare.
Javi, let Andy out of his cage, says, oh my god, it's Randy. I'm glad WrestleTalk paid attention to my name. Also, my name should say Randy, not Andy.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it's good. You're not switching the camera.
Yeah, I realised that time.
Yeah.
I'm really, really good at this.
And with how hard you push the buttons as well, you
It's
would.
such an extravagant
Little
click.
whack 'em.
It's like a whack-a-mole game over there.
Michael Dominguez says matches were able to breathe and longer than 2 minutes. Good wrestling, no bearing of anybody apart from EC3, and no stipulation/restarts. Could you imagine this in 2017 or 18?
The in-ring wrestling is getting a lot more respect since SummerSlam, but really since Heyman took over. It's making the show so much easier to watch. They're flying by for me.
Oh yeah, it really is.
Ty Hankey says, did anyone catch the Street Profits new shirts? Yikes.
Oh, they're
I
like
like them.
It's like a pure 90s design.
Yeah.
Like it's a real 90s t-shirt.
It's something smoke.
We want the smoke.
We want the smoke. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really it's a callback to those sort of garish 90s
Oh yeah, totally.
graffiti ones.
Yeah, someone got in touch with me on Twitter to say those NXT designs are a throwback to old school t-shirts. I'm like, they're bloody not. 90s t-shirts were very garish. There was actual design on them. This is just, I mean, it's basically the Support Wrestle Talk t-shirt.
Hey, that's a feat of design. That is.
James Quinn says Graves and Renee during the Carmella bit was kind of funny because he never makes reference to being her boyfriend.
Maybe they will do more.
They do on Instagram a lot.
It's non-canon.
KJ says the only way for Seth versus Fiend to end is to add Dolph to the match and have him win. Push Dolph.
Should have been me.
Should have been Fiend.
That might be the worst way to book Fiend out of that.
One super kick. Timonu Zumaki says, sorry for the previous message, was because of limited characters. I just really don't like Alexa, and I'm a big Sasha fan. Anyway, you guys are the best. That was the one I
thank you
stopped
very
halfway
much.
through.
I see.
Tim Arndt says, Jobber found a lady friend in the chat. Did he?
Oh,
WrestleTalk
what?
bringing out the love
Jobber
in their fan
JJ?
base. Also, get the bubbly, we need a celebration. Well, oh,
Oh, tell us more, Jobber
Yeah.
JJ.
Wrestle Talk.
drop me an email, Jobber
Wrestle Talk
JJ.
relationship. I feel like because we've actually been, if you listen to the podcast, we've been instrumental in two people getting together. That's actually a fact. So maybe we could start a Wrestle Talk dating agency.
I mean,
I smell an app. It's going to be a lot of guys on there.
Going by our YouTube
Yeah.
audience, can be 97% dudes.
our website is actually 90% dudes and 10% girls.
Oh,
Bringing in
There
the
you go.
ladies over there, Randy. Randy, my name.
Abraham Penner says, speaking of puppets, anyone seen the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance?
no, I haven't yet. No, because my wife doesn't want to watch it.
I'll watch it with you.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
on
Super
our
chat,
lunch
you'll find
breaks.
someone to watch it with you.
Because we actually just we just finished Handmaid's Tale. So we were looking for something new to start. So we started The Boys instead.
Oh, I just
Um,
finished that.
Yeah.
Really liked it.
What, Handmaid's Tale season 3?
No, I
The
just said we
Boys.
started The Boys instead. But yeah, I want to watch Dark Crystal.
Mrs. S says, didn't think Seth's selling was all bad. I think the cam angle was a lot better last week. Seth saying it is just a dream, was decent though. Was it?
I wasn't into it.
No.
I'm glad if you were.
All I'm saying is the actors in Nightmare on Elm Street did that better.
And lastly is Nate Drop Surname says, Corey didn't say it was good for him. Renee said, now you can finally consummate. And Corey said, too late.
Oh, right.
right, I
Oh,
see.
okay. Wink, wink.
Wink,
go.
wink, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for getting in touch.
Yes, and now we've got to say thanks to our $25 a month or more pledge hammers on Patreon. So thank you, Ari Feldberg up ahead.
Yes,
Whoa.
there it is. The Raven, Chris Alexander.
Yes, whoa. The real Ollie Davis. What the hell?
Never Wrong, Tyler Wright.
Whoa, yeah.
I'm thinking of changing to a Phoenix Wright reference.
Fist full of crisps. Chris Christopherson. What's that from?
That was his name suggestion.
Okay.
Moving Sideways, Kieran Crabtree.
Like a crab.
Like a crab, you get it?
Colin McLeaner than Finn Balor.
He's
There's
leaner
no
than Finn
carbs
Balor.
here.
You ready, Randy?
I am ready. Sorry, I had your doc open, Luke, and it wasn't there. Praise him, Jonathan Prieston.
yeah,
yes.
nice.
The Grifter, Jarrett Vandercrift.
Oh, yes.
Michael Miss Lane McKees.
Where they
Don't
go?
know where'd I put him?
Tantalizing Travis Mangtelo.
Nice.
Ren Omega, Ronce Rajan.
Oh,
Yes.
I have not stopped thinking about doing the Hollywood handshake, like the Rainmaker.
Yeah, on pickup.
Handshake!
It's going to happen tonight.
Sorry, Clarence Razor Callahan. Yeah.
Jack Daniels on the Carl Rocks.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
And he's a sexy man. Not an Andrew Gross man.
Yes, Andrew Grossman.
Thank you all so much for your generous donations on Pledge Hammer Patreon.
So close.
If you want to get your own shout out, click the button right here because that will make you a pledge hammer on Patreon along with loads of exclusive content like the WrestleRamble extra 3-hour review of Unforgiven 2006 that will be up this week because me and Luke are going to record it right now. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen. Over there was WrestleTalk.com's Randy Andy Datson. And that was Rambling.